Right, so I thought today we would just go over the basic equipment that you might need to start your own content for your business. And the reason why I'm saying this is that I don't think you realize the cost to entry isn't as extreme as you need, and the majority, well, almost everybody owns a mobile phone, and we can literally start to create content using the mobile phone. But to make our lives a little bit easier and to make this sound a little bit more professional, there are certain items that you can purchase that will help elevate this for you. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Is we're going to try and make this as cheap as we possibly can, so that if you are thinking about creating content for your business, then this is basically the entry level that you need to get started. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Byron Phillips and I run Datrysiad Media, and we are a video production company. And one of the things that we like to do is to give back as much as possible, and we do this either through education or, like with this live, to actually inform you of how to break the barrier, because we know that you are the expert within your niche, but how you are communicating that to your audience, they need to know. So how are you bridging that gap? And we're going to help you with that today by showing you some items that you need to, well, not need to, but it's an idea for you to elevate your content. And we're just going to start with the basic phone. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to use the phone in regards to creating video. It's pretty straightforward, but you're going to need to start with your phone. And one of the things that I'm going to explain is that don't hold the phone when you're creating content for your business. Movement is great, but at the start I recommend you keep things static. We also recommend that you have good audio. So those are two key components that you're going to need. You don't need to worry about lighting just yet. Lighting is key and it's fundamental, but if you can make sure that you're in a well-lit room and there's plenty of sunlight, then at this point in time you don't need to worry about lighting. Perhaps sit next to a window, just not directly like this, because you can blow the image out. But anyway, so what we're going to need to do is basically explain what we want from this. So if you were doing a talking head like I am doing now, the core components are that we need something to hold the camera. We need something to level the camera out, because things can be off level and the last thing you want is a squiff video. The next thing we need to do then is to make sure that you get good audio, because one of the things that you don't want is for people to switch off. People can forgive a bad image, but what they don't forgive is bad audio, and you'll be surprised how quick people turn off. In fact, I created a video the other day and I forgot to plug the bloody camera, not the camera, but the cable in. And it sounded tinny. And I need you to understand that the camera that I'm talking to is literally just an arm's length away, which means that distance, which is a short distance, still makes it sound tinny. Now today we've got it plugged in to the actual shotgun microphone, and this is not an expensive. I think I paid about 30 quid for that one. But the difference is amazing. So usually when you are doing anything with audio, the shotgun, the sign that you want is this, and it's either down here to your chest where a lav will go, or you do it from the point of your head, and the microphone needs to be here, roughly where it is, just to get relatively good audio. And you never want the mic pointing at your mouth. People have a natural tendency to sway in and out, and what will happen is that the microphone can pick up any signal from your forehead. It's not telepathic. So if you place it at your chest, you're more likely when you lean in to be still in line with the actual shotgun microphone. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So like today, everything is static. So we have a camera which is on a tripod, which is exactly what you're going to need. And what I recommend is that you just get a basic light stand. This is on a light stand. You don't need to get a tripod, and the reason why I'm suggesting a light stand over a tripod is that as a tripod goes wider, in order for the camera to go up higher, the footprint gets bigger, so you need a larger space in order for you to make use of that tripod if you're standing. So what I'd recommend, because phones are so light, use a light stand. It has a smaller footprint, it's easy to carry around, and they're relatively cheap as well. So that's the first place I would start. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that the camera is held properly, and you're going to need a phone holder for that. And you can get phone holders which have a 3/4 or a 1/4 inch thread, which is for light stands and all camera equipment, and that will keep your actual phone in place and it will keep it nice and static. So all you have to worry about is like the rule of thirds. So for instance, now I'm sitting on the right side or the left side. It looks like the right side, but it's actually the left side because of the camera. And I'm sitting in that quadrant of the rule of thirds because I want to demonstrate some of this item. So it gives me space to do this. If you're doing a talking head, you might just want to sit in the center and leave it at that and not worry about it too much. So the phone holder is going to literally do that. It's just going to keep everything steady, and the composition is going to make it a lot better. So if you can find a location where you're sitting by a window, you're keeping it nice and steady, and that will do it. But what I recommend is that, if you can see it here, is this is called a ball head, and this allows you to pivot the item across and get into different angles. But if you are in a shop floor and the flooring isn't quite level, then this will allow you to level this off, and these can range from anything between £5 to a lot, surprisingly. And that is how you're going to keep your image nice and static and level. Following on from that, the next thing that you need to be challenged with is audio. Now, depending on whether you use Android or the iPhone, there are going to be two different types of connectors, and that's USB-C for Android, and then I think it's a lightning cable for the iPhone. And what this means is that you can buy a specific lavalier for that phone, which means that you will have better audio. Now, this is what a lavalier looks like. It is, and it's just a small microphone that connects to the phone. Now this is a 3.5mm jack, so you won't get this into any of the phones. Some microphones, some lavaliers will already have the USB-C connector, or they will have the Android, and they'll be dedicated for that phone. So you need to look into if you just want it to go straight in, or you buy something like a connector. Now this particular connector is for the Android, and it's a USB-C, so this will go where the power port goes in underneath, and then you literally just connect it and it'll connect in, and this will go into the phone, and then you will typically connect this then to your t-shirt. You will tuck this in through, and you will make sure that it's connected to the phone, obviously, because I didn't do that the other day. And you will plug that in to the phone, and then you've got your composition, you've got your light stand, you've got everything nice and ready, you've got good audio, and it's connected to the phone, and everything is simple. The other option, and the caveat to this, is that you are limited to the length of the cable. So if you do plan to move around a little bit, then you have to realize then you need a longer cable, and there are going to be limitations to that. Now the reason why I'm suggesting the lavalier first is that they are a cheaper option. The other way to go is with a wireless lavalier, and they use a system then that has a transmitter and a receiver. Now none of this is sponsored, just in case someone goes nee. But basically what will happen is, instead of this being plugged into the phone, it will be plugged into the transmitter, or the transmitter. So that will stay on me, and that will be plugged in like so, and then this can go in my pocket. This will be paired then with the receiver, and the receiver in true Blue Peter style, I've already got a 3.5 connector. We'll go into the out, and then it'll go into the device, and then I've got a little clip for this, and it sits there. Now obviously this is a different camera. This is the Orb Spot. This is one I was filming with the other day, and I love it. Now what this means is that you are free to move about, so you can set the camera further back. If you're in a workshop and you're doing stuff with products and you're moving about a lot, you can set the camera further back, and then you can walk about, and then this will send the signal to here. The downside of this is that some don't record internally. If you are going to go down this route, find one that you can have extra internal recording. They use what is called a 2.4 gigahertz signal. The downside of that is that almost everything uses 2.4, so you might get some dropouts and you might get a little bit of static. And the reason why we have it with internal recording is that should that happen, I can get the backup off here and then put it in to the actual computer and resync the audio. And that is the cat meowing up there, so hopefully you can't hear that. Now what you will typically see, and this is what drives me nuts, and it's not a slight and it's not to pick holes with anybody, this is a lot more smaller than this, and you will see people putting this on clients and they do this. It drives me nuts. Absolutely drives me nuts. For the sake of being a little bit clever with this much smaller footprint, you can get it by a blouse, you can get the lady to put the wire in herself and connect it. For the love of God, please. This is just my one bugbear. Please don't use it like this. I've seen loads of interviews lately where it's quite prestigious and the people that are in there are very well known, and the camera person has put this big brick on them, and some of these people are wearing lovely suits or lovely yellow blouses or stuff like that, and I'm just like, you've spent all that effort setting the camera up, setting the lighting, doing all this, and then you stick this on it. And the reason why I don't like doing that, one, it's a brick, and two, it's got branding on it, the company's branding. The whole point of getting good audio is so that the person can communicate the message about their own service, not advertising that this Rode or Comica or any other plethora of brands that are out there. So as you can tell, that drives me nuts. So those are the basics that you are going to need when it comes to creating content and for video, and it doesn't need to be expensive, or it doesn't need to be overly complicated. Like I said, you can get a cheap light stand, a phone holder, a few bits and bobs to do it. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to get this set up here and move out the way. Oh, the one thing I did forget. So tomorrow I'm doing a networking event, and one of the things that is always a pain in the backside is having to mic people up. Now I've said about this, it drives me nuts, but I'm not doing that tomorrow. So what I'm doing is I've purchased 2 of these, and basically it is a holder for this, and then what you can do is you can clip this in and it goes like that, and then you have a microphone, and I've got 2 of these, so now I can do basic recordings with impromptu people, and I can just hand it off to the person, or we can do an interview, and then they're free to go. And it's better than having to touch someone, sticking this on their claws and looking like, I'm not going to say a muppet, but maybe. I just don't like it. I can't help it. It's one of those things. It drives me nuts. It makes my eye twitch, and whilst I don't like to, not so much berate people, it's that thing that drives me nuts. Right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to actually have a quick look at Amazon, and we are just going to show you some of the prices of this. So fingers crossed this is going to switch over. Did it? Yes, it did. There we are. So we're on Amazon, and in true Blue Peter style, I have got some of these in Excel ready just for a comparison. So obviously the phone is free. You've already paying for that, so you don't need to worry about that. And some of the things that I'm going to suggest, like the light stand, there are alternatives, for instance, because you don't need something really heavy duty for holding a phone. So if we go down to £30, and I'm almost sure I saw an Amazon Basics. There we go. So a light stand, Amazon Basics, perfect. Call it 25 quid. So we're going to get a mini ball head then, because we want to be able to level out the camera. We do. This I might have to like do gentle fingers because this might bang a bit. Tripod, mini ball head mount. That might be a little bit too heavy, but you can see we can get anything from $4.99 or $4.49 or $4.99 to something like that. So just for argument's sake, let's call it tenner. Split the difference. So, and then we're going to go for a camera holder. We need something to actually hold the camera. So all of these, as you can see, work with tripods, and they can range between anything between £20 to £8. You don't need something mental, but I'll go for small work. It's all metal, it should last you a while, so let's just say 20 squid. Right, so we're going to go for now with a wired lavalier just for you to see the difference in price, and we will stick with Android C. So to wired, USB. I'm not going to do that. I did that earlier. So USB C. So let's have a look. No. That's given crap reviews. £15, and how long is that? 19 foot, 6 meters. So what I'm gonna say, budget for 20. It'll give you a bit of leeway. So what else do we need now? I'm not going to look for a wireless lav system just yet, and I'm not going to do the USB-C to TRRS, if you can say that. Now this is what TRRS means. If you look at a 3.5mm jack, there will be two black rings. Now that's TRS, and that is usually for microphones such as lavaliers or anything like that that don't require headphones. Whenever you're using a headset which has the microphone and the headset, there will be 3 black rings, and that will be TRRS, and that will is more likely will be for like a mobile phone or something like that. But that what it means is that it's carrying the signal of the speakers and the microphone together, and then 4 gold rings as opposed to 3. So we won't need that. I can't even spell microphone. Look at that. Dirty boy. Microphone holder. Now what I meant by that was if I went to a lavalier. So for the basics, to get your camera held, to get your camera leveled off, and to on a light stand, and the reason why I suggested the light stand is that these go up to quite high. So if you are a 6'5" monster, you don't have to worry. It's going to reach you. Conversely, if you're 4 foot, you'll be fine. So there's a good range, and they're not heavy duty. They're going to be fine. So it'll be just enough to hold the phone, hold other bits of equipment if you need to, and go from there. So that is the minimum entry. So you're looking at about £75. So as you can see, the cost of entry for creating content isn't massive, and it's something that you can do affordable. Now if you are thinking about moving about, you're gonna need a wireless lav. So we will look at that. So we will do wireless. What I'll do is I'll type in Comica, boom, and I'm not sponsored, but it's what I've actually got here. It's what I use, so we'll just look for that. Pro, come on you, XD Pro. There we are. Just to show you the difference in pricing. And you are there. So that is £172. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you were doing this, we'll either equate it to a good 180, because there are ones around like Rode, which also does internal. So £205. Or there's DJI. So if we set that benchmark to a roughly £200, you're in between both, and there it is. See, I did buy it, I wasn't lying. So we'll set that to £200. Now this thing that I'm talking about, this is for the Rode, but it works with the Comica and it works with other ones as well. So these are pretty universal, because all it is literally a slot that allows you to put the back end in and you can use it. If you are thinking about doing stuff like that, what you can just then add another 20. Now the reason why it's 20 is that it's on sale, and it's usually 40 quid. I wouldn't buy it for 40 quid. Hell no, it's just plastic at the end of the day. But for 20 quid I bought 2, so that's what I went with. Now, so we're already up to £275 just by changing the gear from wired to wireless. So that is something that you're going to have to consider. So what I would do is I would go the wired lav first, see how you feel. Are you confident? Are you comfortable? Is this something that you're going to pursue? And then perhaps go down the wireless lav route. I would still keep with a mobile phone, but that's the way that I would go. Now the next step, and this is something that I said we wasn't going to cover, but I do have it here. A key light is important. Right now I've got a key light, and if I turn it off, that is what happens. So even though I've got the house light on, and even though I got the window, you would think that there would be enough light, but it's not. So when you're doing this, you're going to have to make sure that you pick a time of day that offers you the maximum amount of light. If you can't do that, then you are going to have to get a key light. So what was that? It was the Yongnuo Y300. There we are. And this is the BioLight, so it means it can change from 3200 to 5500 Kelvin. I don't want you to worry about that at the moment. So let's just get daylight, because it's just, where are you? Right. So the reason why I am saying to get one that just does daylight, you get the most power for your money. When you pick a light that does a range of colors, so for instance like that other one, the 3200 or 3500 to 5500, half of those lights are dedicated to 3200 Kelvin, the other half are dedicated to 55. And then what happens is that as you're switching between the two, they're doing a blend of the two. Now what that means is that if you pick 3200 or 5500, you're only going to get half the output that something like this will offer, a full daylight, because all those LEDs are 5500, so you're getting the maximum output from that light. To get the maximum output, you would have to go to an in-between color temperature, which might be 4400, to get the maximum, but then you're not then balanced to daylight. So you would have to make sure that your camera is 4400, but other lights like daylight might come across as a little bit blue. And that's a whole different other subject. So this is why I'm saying stick to something that is that. So that's going to be another £100, just for argument's sake. So we will have another 100. But here's the thing, that doesn't come with a light stand, so you can double that because you're going to need 2. And now it's gone up to £400. So you could decide, actually I just need a key light and I'm not going to go with the wireless, but I'm just going to get a wired lav, so you're looking at 220. Or you could go all in and just say, right, let's just get rid of that and we're going to go in, and it's going to cost you £400. But from the offset, that is a cheaper investment for you to start than to actually worry about. Oh no, don't you do that. That's not what I wanted. There we are, we're back to that. That is a much cheaper investment than you thinking about buying like a Sony camera or something and really going all in, because that is then got you talking about £3,500 for just for the camera without the lens. So you might be able to get a lens with it, and then if you look like aperture lights, you're talking about £1,000, or even you can get some cheaper, but if you really want to update, you know, the production value. So it's not changing what you're doing, it's just the level of cost of doing it. So for instance, the camera, the phone, the microphone, the stand and the lighting, those are the core components that you need. But when you start elevating the production, those 4 things don't change, but the cost associated with it. If you want a better camera, like I said, £3,500. The GH5 that I'm using now, you can get that second hand. Don't come in, I'm on a live.
I got coffee.
Oh, coffee, she's got coffee. You can come in. Look at that. Thanks. Amazing. Idiot, I nearly told it off. I nearly said, oi, out. But she came with coffee. That's hot. I think she's trying to kill me. So what I'm saying is the level of production doesn't change, it's just the cost associated with it. So camera, sound, how to hold things, and lighting, the grip and everything, the fundamentals can be really cheap as a, you know, £75, or like I just showed you, it can quickly escalate. You want to start walking about, wireless lavalier, and then you talk about another £200. If you want to not use the window lighting, you then going to get a key light, there's another £100. And then you're going to have to start learning all those things associated with it. But what I'm saying is, for 75 quid, there's nothing stopping you trying. And if you don't like it, you can either decide this is not for me, or you can think then actually I need outside help. And that just might be going on to YouTube, getting some training, investing in the time to actually do it, or use a service like myself where we can train you and we have the gear to do this for you. And that is it for today. I am going to leave you there. I think I've waffled on enough. If you found this useful, please drop a comment. I shall let you know how it goes tomorrow, because I am using, so I'll tell you what I'm doing. Tomorrow I am using this, and also a 360 camera. The 360 is for BTS, behind the scenes, and this is the OBSBot. It does tracking, so it's going to be fantastic for a bit more clarity when it comes to actually doing these sound bites for Zocket. And then I'm going to be using these, and that is going to be using the wireless lavalier, and I'm using a light stand. I have bigger tripods, I have that gear, but I'm keeping it simple, so I'm going by my own principles. Yes, this is a bit more expensive, yes, this does another thing, and I'm doing it for different reasons, because behind the scenes is fantastic for businesses. It really helps the viewer understand what it is you're doing when you're doing the job, so they can form like an association. Oh, okay, he works in this way, or that person works in that way, and this is how they interact, and you know, this is not something that you would normally see, so it's fantastic. But this adapter means that, and it's a wire adapter, and it was only £5 or £7 for this one, because this was the bigger one. But it means that I can put the receiver in the middle on the hot shoe. I can have two cameras, and then it's just on the light stand. And I can walk around tomorrow in the networking event, and I'm gonna bug people. So, and I'm gonna use these. I'm gonna look like a tool as well. So that is it. I shall let you know how it goes. I will let the people know how it goes, and yeah, we will call it a day. So thank you, and I will see you soon.